Chaos. First story. It means that in the last years of the Chinese Communist Party, Liu Fenghui, a Beijinger, and Zhu Peipei, a sister of Mr. Dai, will soon be married. When the Qing army entered the country, Liu's father and brother, fearing that they would be dragged by his wife and children, could not flee quickly, planned to quickly dress up their sister and send her to Mr. Dai for marriage. The Qing army has broken in and the father and son have fled, and the Qing army has dispersed. My sister was taken prisoner by an official. After a few days of following the cow, the man was also very respectful of his sister. At night, Liu slept in another room and was keen on Liu's sister's diet. Ox caught another teenager, about the age of his sister, and he's pretty. Mr. Liu told the teenager, "I don't have a son. I'm going to take you as my righteous son and inherit the incense. Would you like that?" A teenager's only promise. Mr. Liu pointed to Ms. Liu and said, "If you want, I'll marry this woman to you as a wife." A young man is happy to be Yoshiko Ashiroku. That's how Liu let the teenager sleep with Liu Fenghui's sister. They love each other very much. You tell your name on the pillow and you know the boy is Mr. Tai. Chaos. Second story. In other words, a certain gentleman in Shaanxi province has become a cult official, and his mother and wife are both in his native Shaanxi province. Instead of following himself to the place where he is an official, it comes at a time when Shaanxi's ginger-encrusted region has become a place of thieves and isolated voices. When the rebellion calmed down, the Salt administration sent people to their hometowns to investigate family information, leaving hundreds of miles to go without anyone to ask for information. Just as the Salt officer returned to Beijing to report to work, there was a veteran widow, whose family was so poor that he could not afford to marry his wife. The Salt officer took out a few coins and gave them to him, and the veteran went to buy his wife. At this point, the Qing army had just vanquished Zhangzan and returned to capture many women, planting grass signs on their heads, selling them like cattle and horses. Old master took the silver with him. I thought I was carrying too little silver to ask beautiful young girls. One of them, dressed neatly, took out silver to redeem the elder for his wife. Sitting in bed, Lao Ying identified it carefully and said, "You are some kind of job." Lao Yi asked how he knew, and Lao Yi said, "You've been serving me. I don't know you." Old Cha hacked the Salt officer. When the Salt officer walks in, she is the mother. When the mother and son are in trouble, they can still see each other. They can't stop crying. The Salt officer gives more money to thank the old man. The old Laoch's servicemen, this time with more money, again to the place of the captured women sold by the officers and soldiers. Also disdained to buy the old Lao as a wife. See a woman, about 30 years old, charming, so buy her back as a wife. On the way back, the woman walked, looked at the old man and said, "You're just some bad man?" The veteran was surprised and asked how she knew, and the woman said, "You've been serving my husband. How could I not know him?" Lao Chalin was even more horrified, took his wife to see the Salt officer. Salt officer, "Yes, ma'am? It's crying again. It's a great pleasure to have my mother and wife reunited in one day." The Salt officer then took out 100 taels of silver and asked the old man to marry a beautiful woman as his wife. The Salt officer is a moral gentleman, so the spirits are grateful for it. Unfortunately, the person who told me this story forgot the name of the Salt officer, and there may be others in Shaanxi who knew this story and knew the name of the Salt officer. The Qing army crushed the Zhang-encrusted rebellion, and the families of the officials who supported the Qing Dynasty were also killed by the fish, and the jade was burned, Ishi said. It's a blessing that a family like the Salt officer can be reunited after the chaos and pass on the matter to their descendants. Dong's descendants, who had only one grandson, are now reduced to not being able to sacrifice their ancestors, which is also the responsibility of the court officials. Tragic.
Alright, this story has come to an end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you.